Right, it's Activision's turn on the E3 merry-go-round. The world's biggest publisher wants to make you a hero. And you might think that's already happened thanks to this. And don't you worry, we'll be taking a detailed look at Guitar Hero 5. But before that, it's time to meet a new kind of hero.
The mission for DJ Hero is simple: to do for mixing what Guitar Hero did for rock and roll. And if UK developer Freestyle Games pulls it off, then this turntable controller will become this year's must-have gaming accessory. But it took a while to get here.
We're now on our 15th iteration of it. Originally this started off in someone's garage using bits of wood and glue and so on, and allowed us just to get an idea of what it would feel like, what sort of weight, what sort of movement we were looking for it, and really it's evolved up through there.
So how does it work?
We've mapped record 1 onto this green button, and we've mapped record 2 onto this blue button. On the crossfader side, if it's all the way over to the left, you're hearing only record 1. If it's all the way over to the right, you only hear record 2. We've got an effect style on here, which allows you to apply real-time effects.
But if you're not a DJ and this is starting to sound like rocket science, it isn't. After all, like Rock Band, Guitar Hero, SingStar and Dance Dance Revolution, it's all about the performance.
It's a social experience, and we really created the game with social events in mind to give you, the gamer, a chance to be the centre of your party and to play with more contemporary music, perhaps the sort of music that you would play at your own parties.
Well, what can we expect from the soundtrack? 100 mixes are due for day one, and far from just being bleepy dance stuff, Freestyle is going for a little bit of everything.
Really, we see no limit as to the type of genres that we can tap into. We get tracks like Black Eyed Peas and Benny Benassi. We get tracks from the Gorillaz. We get tracks from Marvin Gaye. I mean, really, and that just shows you some of the time scale that we've looked at. We've gone all the way back to the 60s, where our DJs want to take classic, old, kind of dusty old records, dust them off and give them a sprinkling of new life. We give them an opportunity to do that.
But music's only half of the equation. Nailing the DJ experience is the rest. So Freestyle's been scratching around with top names like DJ Shadow. Here's how he looks in-game. And it helps, of course, if you practice what you preach.
It's hugely important. Freestyle's kind of a unique video games developer in that we have a studio in London which I manage, which has 16 DJs in it. We don't have any artists, designers or programmers in that studio. This is purely a music studio.
There's also mic support for budding MCs and the option to play with a Guitar Hero controller for a quite bizarre musical duel. And you never know, this time next year you could be playing Guitar Hero with the turntable.
That sounds like a great idea.
DJ Hero is coming to PS3, 360, Wii and PS2 this October. The Guitar Hero rock juggernaut rolls on, even if it is getting increasingly hard to follow. World Tour, Metallica, Van Halen, Hits, On Tour, and we're not even mentioning the bitter rival. What's going on?
We're putting out Guitar Hero 5, and that's why we went to the number 5, to let people know this is the new one, this is the one with all the new innovation, this is the one with all the new features that we're adding this year.
And there are indeed some nifty new features for 5 that should have party players in particular excited.
So new to Guitar Hero 5 is Party Play. And Party Play is really like the ability to have a jukebox playing at your party. And you can create a set list if you want, or you can just have it randomly play songs. So you can create set lists, you can save those set lists, you can turn it on, put it in the corner, and put it at your party and just have it play. And anybody can just walk up on any instrument and just press one button and jump right in.
And it's an obvious addition in hindsight, but for the first time ever, we're going to be able to play with any combination of instruments. 8-way online drum off, anyone?
No longer do you have to play with a standard 4-piece band. You could play with 4 drummers through career if you want, through online, competitive. You could play as 4 guitarists, 2 drummers, 2 vocalists, really whatever you want to do.
Work's also being done to the music store, largely to make it easier for noobs. But while this feature hasn't necessarily set the gaming or music worlds alight, Neversoft reckons it's so far so good.
I think it's been pretty cool. I mean, it was our first time out with it, and we had over 200,000 uploads of songs and 14 million downloads. So that's, a lot of people are checking out what's up there.
The studio also flatly rejects any criticism of its DLC strategy, particularly suggestions that Rock Band does it better.
We have done 3 songs a week. Like I said, we'll have close to 170 songs by the time GH5 comes out. We do a lot of free DLC as well. And then we've also had other games. If you're a Metallica fan, you've had GH Metallica that you could have purchased. If you're a Van Halen fan, you have GH, Van Halen. You have Greatest Hits. We have those other games coming out as well.
Anyway, all the improvements sound good to us. But the real problem World Tour faces this autumn is not impressing us. It's trying not to be drowned out by a bunch of chirpy scousers. In the absence of Guitar Hero the Rolling Stones, for Neversoft it's a case of vive la différence.
You want a varied set list and a lot of variety, and modern independent rock bands and hard rock and classic rock and metal and all that. Then Guitar Hero 5 might be the game for you.
Besides, as a franchise, Guitar Hero is massively bigger than Rock Band, which means Neversoft is bigger than the Beatles, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Never.
Guitar Hero 5 will be 8-way shredding on PS3, 360, Wii and PlayStation 2 this autumn. And now for something completely different. Bizarre Creations are the racing heroes of Northwest England, and purveyors of kudos and credibility to Dreamcast with Metropolis Street Racer, and later Microsoft and the brilliant Project Gotham games. Now owned by Activision, we all wondered, where would they drive us next?
It was a combination of things that led to such a radical new approach, but a lot of it was really like with the Gotham series and, as you say, the framework, you could only go so far within the boundaries of that. So doing something brand new is really awesome for our team and really awesome for like the company as a whole, I think.
And for a studio known for its painstaking addiction to realism, one surprise in the recipe is an ingredient more familiar to Mario Kart tastes.
I guess the power-up system is more based around the idea of Hollywood realism that we've got in the game now. It's not just ultimately realistic, it's more sort of like Hollywood real. Shit flips over all the time and things smash up and electricity everywhere, but it's all really dramatic and really exciting. If this car did get hit by an EMP in like a Hollywood movie, how would that look? If the environments were designed in such a way so that it wasn't slavish to realism, but it was fun to race, how would they be?
Power-up stirred in, next adds a meaty storyline.
We knew we wanted a storyline in the game. We knew we wanted all the good stuff that a storyline can give you. So like characterization and a reason to race and a reason to be pushed through the game. But we didn't want like, cutscenes with mini skirts and like celebrities and all that stuff that is cheesy and rubbish about the game genre.
And for good measure, drizzle over a dash of social networking.
We have this social network built in the game. Characters send you messages, they invite you to groups, they give you like challenges and invites, all these different things. And it's basically based on how people communicate today. If you get a text message or you use Facebook or your Twitter, that's how people talk generally to sort of the world at large today.
If that lot has you salivating for more, you can read Eurogamer's in-depth hands-on preview of Blur by hitting the red button. We mentioned big guns at the top of the show, and there's plenty to go around in the last pair of games we're looking at. Time manipulation in a shooter's nothing new. Just look at all the fuss they made about time shift at the time.
If I'm gonna spend 60 euros on a game, you better fucking give me something that feels like I spent 60 euros.
And how forgettable that proved. So why should we single out Singularity?
Singularity has a different take on time manipulation than other games. A lot of games have approached time manipulation from almost a VCR perspective, right? You can rewind, pause, fast forward. We don't do that. We do something vastly different, which is we control the age of objects in the world. Those objects can be small or large. And we also force the player into different time eras. So we're not giving the player control of time so much as letting time control the player, which adds to our story.
For developer Raven, usually responsible for fiddling around with other people's franchises, it's a chance to stamp a distinct mark all of its own on the genre, which is easier said than done in the current climate.
The biggest thing is that it's not just a new IP, it's their new IP. They concepted it, they brought it to Activision. When we concept tested the notion behind Singularity, actually, it was one of the highest concept tests that we've ever had at Activision, and the demo was absolutely stunning. So the big wigs were sort of forced in the position of making it real because it was that good.
So how does the time manipulation actually work?
The basic functions are aging and reverting. So in its simplest form, right, you stumble upon a crate that's just decrepit and broken, and you revert it back, and there's actually ammo inside of it for you. You stumble across a tape recorder, and it no longer works, and you can bring that back and make it work. And then we're talking about geometry and sort of the environment, and you can age a structure so that it collapses onto someone else and takes out an enemy, or you can age a pillar and blow out the floor from underneath someone. Raven knows how to do combat. They've been making shooters for years. The combat's fun, exciting, high action, high pace.
Singularity is PS3 and 360 bound, due later this year. But it's not the only shooter Raven's working on, and that means the return of an old friend. Whereas with Singularity, gamers must take a daring leap into the unknown, with Wolfenstein you know exactly where you are.
They control power you can't possibly imagine.
You know, everybody hates Nazis, so they're more fun to kill. They come in all shapes and sizes, you know. In the story, the Nazis are trying to get to this energy source called the Black Sun, and to get there they have to go through this dimension called the Veil. So they're doing all this experimentation, and you come across enemies like the Sniffers, who are these early experiments that failed miserably, and they're these feral beasts that are just, they want to kill everything in their path.
That's the background, and the core gameplay formula remains.
The pillars of the franchise, you know, the fast-paced first-person shooter combat, I mean, that is the most important thing about the Wolfenstein franchise. There's something unexpected around every corner, but for every one of those unexpected things, we give you a badass gun to shoot it with.
It's the Veil powers that represent the biggest change from the norm.
Your Veil powers, you have Veil Sight, which allows enemies to stand out in dark areas. It'll also show you your grenade trail before you throw one, and you can see through walls, and you can come with new combat paths and things like that in any given situation. You've also got Mire, which allows you to slow down time. And then you've got Shield, which initially is just, you know, it's kind of a bubble in front of BJ that absorbs damage, but you can also upgrade your Veil powers. So when you get Shield upgraded, it can bounce bullets back at enemies. You see them like shoot at you, it'll hit them in the throat or something. And then the fourth Veil power is Empowerment, which allows you to shoot through solid matter.
So far, it looks and plays perfectly solidly. For more on that, hit the red button. But will it be enough given the strength of the competition? We'll find out soon enough, with the game coming to PS3, 360 and PC this summer.
To the new Reich.
That's your lot for Activision. Now, if you don't mind, we've got a date with the decks.
And you didn't think